Testing, testing. Do I just hold these to make it? You're just going to turn it on?
The girls, I think we
Hold it. Hello, everyone. If you want to please take your seats, we're going to be getting started shortly. Perfect. I would like to first invite Jerry Jean Brandstetter to open us with a blessing.
You all please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today for the debates of the Osage Nation. We humbly ask that you guide and direct us in our thoughts and the desires that we need to move forward in our tribe. We bless all the candidates that are participating today and the Osage News for getting this gathering together. Give us safe travels as we travel home. Make our decisions and come to an election day soon. We ask these things in your humble name. Amen.
Good afternoon. My name is Brittany Harlow of Crosswinds News and Talking Circle, multimedia partners of Osage News. On behalf of the Osage News Editorial Board, welcome to the Osage News Editorial Board Congressional Candidates Debates. We're honored together with you here at Wakon Iron Hall. Thank you to Pawhuska Village Community. Thank you to the Pawhuska Village Committee, Osage Nation Tribal Works, and Daily Technologies, who helped make today possible. One of the most important responsibilities of an Osage citizen is selecting your leadership. These conversations help inform that decision. We ask that everyone here and watching online engage with respect and a shared commitment to the nation. Let's begin. I would like to call candidates Michael Bristow, Brooklyn Daly, Thomas Tremblay, and R.J. Walker to the podiums. At this time, I will read the rules of the debate. Each candidate will have 2 minutes each for an opening statement and 1 minute each for a closing statement. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question and 1 minute for rebuttal. The candidate's name, who is first in alphabetical order, will answer the first question and then so on. The timer, Siobhan, will warn candidates when they have 30 seconds left and will stop a candidate when the time is up. The host moderator will make sure that each candidate takes their turn in answering the question and will also make sure all candidates have a chance for their 1-minute rebuttal. The moderator also reserves the right to shorten answer periods for the sake of time. Candidates may choose to pass on their rebuttal. Candidates will be offered time for rebuttals in the same order in which they responded to the question. All answers will remain civil, and candidates will refrain from personal attacks. The moderator reserves the right to disqualify any candidate who cannot adhere to this rule from further debate. That was? Say it was me. At this time, candidates will give their 2-minute opening statements. We will start with Michael.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'm Michael Bristow. Wakadai Wajaji Ajaji Abri. I am of the Deer Clan, and I'm from the Oaxaca District. Professionally, I'm a speech-language pathologist, and I'm the current vice chairman for the Osage Health Board, and I'm running for Congress. As your congressman, I want to protect two things: the people's health and the nation's sovereignty. Because health really is the state of the nation. When we can take care of our elders, our families, our children on our own terms and show that we can take care of our own, that is sovereignty in action. On the health board, we have unified scattered programs into one coordinated health system. We have brought stable native health leadership, and we've expanded behavioral health, prevention, and adult-focused services. I treat staff and patient concerns as areas that we can constantly improve through culture and communication. I also want to address the sovereignty issue because we're under attack constantly from the state and the federal governments. In Governor Stitt's final State of the State address, he called into focus a One Oklahoman initiative, which is a rebranding of an old rhetoric, which means that those Native Americans are just another immigrant. We are not immigrants. They are immigrants. And I will oppose any measure taken by the state or the federal government that comprises overreach that destroys our sovereignty.
Thank you, Mr. Bristow. Thank you, Mr. Bristow. Next, Thomas.
Yes, my name is Thomas Tremblay, running for Osage Nation Congress, and I'm very humbled to do that. I'm also very proud that I'm up here on the first group with a great group of people. We have one of our distinguished Osage Nation Health System Board members next to me. We have a great scholar sitting to my left, and we have our Assistant Chief, Mr. R.J. Walker, so I'd like to let everybody know I'm proud to be a part of this group. With that being said, I would like to see numerous initiatives taken to better our nation, to make us financially responsible, and to make us culturally secure. With that being said, I ask for your vote, and I thank you very much.
Next, Brooklyn Daly.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brooklyn. Thank you for showing up and being here and caring about the future of the nation. I really think that showing up matters and being involved matters. I moved here back in 2024, and since then, I've built a lot of relationships, and it's given me a deep respect for the community. I've learned that this is a close-knit community, and that we support one another and that we move forward together as a nation. And I've been welcomed here very, very well, and I'm very appreciative of that. And it's meant a lot to me. And I'm grateful to be a part of all this. When I came back here, my main motive was to find a way to give back to the nation. And I am so lucky that I get to work in the grants department right now. In this role, I research funding for the nation, and I work with departments and directors, cabinet secretaries. Together, we collaborate and we submit an application on behalf of the nation. That's a very rewarding process. I've learned good, fine attention to detail, and that this type of work takes a lot of collaboration. I've seen that this type of work turns into some real change, and conversations turn into plans, and these plans, they come into projects, and these projects end up impacting our people in our community. When I have these moments, I'm reminded that what we do here matters, that the decisions that we make here matter, and the way that we lead matters. The way that we communicate matters, and I deeply believe in that everything should be rooted in transparency and respect. I have my master's in legal studies from the University of Oklahoma.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And last, we have Assistant Chief R.J. Walker.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Osage News and the board for enabling us this opportunity to address the constituency. And I'm from Pawhuska, obviously. I'm part of the Wakon district as well. So not really sure where to start. I grew up in Pawhuska. I've been married for 25 years. I have 5 children. Got 1 graduate. She got a job. She's out of the nest for the most part. 2 in college at Oklahoma State. 1 still in high school. I want to concentrate a little bit on my skills and my experience a little bit, and I hope this doesn't come as part of bragging, but I have an ability, in my opinion, to get along and work well with others, even if we disagree. And there's certain skills that I possess. Thank you. Sorry. That I want to bring to the table, and I know there's a question in people's minds, like, why is RJ wanting to be on Congress going back from assistant chief? Well, number one, I enjoyed being on Congress, and I thought I was effective at it. And number 3, I have an opportunity or two that I think can benefit the nation that I can't do as assistant chief. And I look forward to the opportunity. I appreciate this debate. I look forward to the questions, and I humbly ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you to our candidates. We will now move into questions. Questions were submitted from Osage citizens and selected by the Osage News Editorial Board. Michael Bristow will start once we get our first question here.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Bristow, do you support tribal partnerships to support the needs of our nation? For example, partnering with a tribe that has successfully sustained a headstone business, funeral home, their own oil and gas business, gaming, or even cattle industry.
So, absolutely. Yeah, I think that our partnerships with other nations and to gain from their experience is going to be vital for our own success, because we don't have to reinvent the wheel again. We can learn from those who've been in the industries that we're talking about, and they can show us how to avoid the pitfalls that may have delayed them, so that we can be successful as well. One of the partnerships that we have made with the health board is that we have licensed a software, Epic, from the Creek Nation, which really Epic is the gold standard among medical documentation, medical software. And it's very, very expensive. There was no way that the Osage Nation was going to be able to afford it on our own, because we are 1/5 the size of the Creek Nation. And through our partnership with them, through them letting us engage in this licensure from that, we have been able to adopt that critical medical software into our clinics and our health system, which just benefits everyone.
Please let me know at any time if you or would like the question. But next, we're just going to go down the line. Thomas Trumbley, if you'd like 2 minutes for your response.
I sure would. And if you don't mind repeating the question
Of course.
for me and for everyone else.
Do you support tribal partnerships to support the needs of our nation? For example, partnering with a tribe that has successfully sustained a headstone business, funeral home, their own oil and gas business, gaming, or even cattle industry?
Yes, I always thought that these were sustainable interests that everybody could benefit from. It doesn't matter what tribe it is or what distance they are from us. I think if they have something that would mutually benefit both partners, then I see that should be a reliable business or entity to go in with.
Thank you.
And I also would like to think that if we do have these partnerships, we could have more transparency within our own nation, because at that point you would have to be transparent to your partner, because they're going to want to know how the money is spent just as much as we're going to be wanting the same from them. That being the case, I think that raises the level of accountability and auditing processes brought to our nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Brooklyn Daly, same question.
Absolutely. I think collaboration can go a long way, especially if we work with other tribes that are doing bigger projects and they have been successful in these projects. I think it's key and important to not just collaborate, but talk and work with them on different levels so that we can get the same type of input and we can try to not mimic, but implement it in our own ways and start from the very beginning, get all the stakeholders that needs to be at the table at the very beginning, that needs to be involved with the project, and, get MOUs or whatever needs to be collaborated, get the project going, and then communicate and keep that communication going throughout. Thank you.
Assistant Chief, same question.
Thank you. The answer is yes. Networking is important. I mean, you can gain a lot of insight and valuable I guess, experience from other tribal nations that can help us. And collaboration is important. Uh, Nobody's really mentioned the oil and gas part of it, and I'll go ahead and hit on that a little bit. Going back to my opening comments, working well with others needs to be improved. And I hope that that happens with the next Minerals Council, administration, and Congress. And I will help with that. I will. As far as the cattle industry, guys, gals, we're doing great out at the ranch. We really are. There are issues. We have a bison herd. That's one of the things that Chief Standing Bear tasked me with, working with the LLC, particularly with the ranch. I've had weekly meetings on Wednesday mornings with them, and our team is good about communicating with other tribal nations that have been in the cattle and bison industry. So rather than go on and on about that, I forget all of the other things, but those are some of the things that I wanted to hit on. I look forward to the opportunity, hopefully, to work with the Chief's office, the Minerals Council, our boards, commissions, in a respectful way. I've been here since 2002. I know where we are, where we came from, how we got here, everything else, and I think that experience will serve us well if I get the opportunity to serve again on Congress. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we do have 1 minute for rebuttals, if any, and we'll go in the same order. And you can feel free to pass if you'd like.
When you say rebuttal, do we have to specifically refute somebody else's statement?
Refute, weigh in on it. If you just want to respond to something someone else said.
I'll pass that to Mr. Trumley.
Yeah, I think all the candidates up here have spoken very well and come up with some very good thoughts and ideas. So I don't really have any rebuttal, as they say. So I'll pass to my candidate on the left.
I don't really have a rebuttal, but I just want to put a high emphasis on communication and transparency, especially when we're collaborating with different entities, departments, companies, whatever. It's real important to keep the same transparency and the same communication throughout. Thank you.
Assistant Chief?
Yeah, well, I want to emphasize that we need to communicate, coordinate, collaborate with other governments. And that's not only the departments or the other Minerals Council, Congress, executive branch. I mean, we need to communicate and work together. That includes the state, the federal government. And I don't want to use I too much, but over the last 14 years as an elected official and the 10 years prior to that as a director, I've got many contacts and an ability to get along with people. And I'm not saying others do not, but that is one of the things that I feel like I bring to the table, and I look forward to working more towards that. We can be better, and we will.
Thank you very much. So for our next question, we are going to continue down the line, and this one will begin with Thomas. It's just 1 moment. Leadership requires emotional maturity and the ability to work with others, even after strong disagreements. Tell us about a time when you set aside personal feelings to work with someone on the opposite side of an issue. What was the outcome? 2 minutes.
Well, there's many of those type of situations you're describing. I really couldn't pick just one. However, I would like to say that I'm not going to be a yes person for anyone, but I will be there for agreement with rational ideas, with good thoughts towards the initiatives that we're trying to take. And I would leave my ego and personal whatever's to the side and come to the table for full agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving along to Brooklyn Daily.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, ma'am. Leadership requires emotional maturity and the ability to work with others, even after strong disagreements. Tell us about a time when you set aside personal feelings to work with someone on the opposite side of an issue. What was the outcome?
Well, for me, right now I'm in the grants department, so it's a very busy department. We have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of projects, and there's a lot of movement. So in that, being here, I've learned a lot to how to be a professional, and been grateful to have people that have invested in me on this type of nature. But to be a leader in this, for your question, I would think it'd be important to have conflict, because you can't get through any. You can't come together sometimes unless there's some conflict, and it's how you get over that conflict together, and then your relationship can grow. And I've seen that personally on my end, where I've had some rough waters, and I've done really well at just being communication is key, and just finding a way to get through that. You really can't have a relationship, I believe, sometimes unless you do not have conflict. Thank you.
Thank you. Assistant Chief, same question.
Well, I would be remiss if I weren't to mention Congresswoman Edwards' relationship. From the outside looking in, it looked like we didn't like one another. We didn't always agree. A lot of times we did not. And I'm looking out there and I see former Congresswoman Pratt out there, and she used to give me a hard time because we would go over to the Mercantile and have a burrito. I mean, so to answer it really is, I could, in multiple ways. It's like my wife and I, we don't get along. We have altercations all the time, and then we sleep together in the same bed. I mean, I am good at that. I mean, I'm willing to debate and argue. Those of you that have paid attention to me know that I'm easy to get along with, but when I'm not, I'm not. So I just feel like there's 12 members of Congress. Right now, I think there's 6 men and 6 women. Do you think everyone's going to get along all the time? Absolutely not. And you got to work across the aisle. You got to communicate with one another. And there, I'm going to use the I word again, but I'm good at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Bristow, same question.
Thank you for the question. You know, when you first asked that question, it took me back to my first couple of years on the health board, and it was me and Dr. Rana Shaw. And me and Dr. Shaw would sometimes disagree about certain aspects of the operation of the clinic. And one of the great things about Dr. Shaw and I is that we both went to the same high school. So we both went through the same debate class. And in that class, we both learned that we don't get personal. You state your facts of your argument, of your opinion. There's no insults, there's no personal attacks. If we disagree, we work to find a common solution, okay? And there were a couple of different issues that we had, but even after debating, we could still go out and have a steak dinner after everything, and still just be fine together. Another issue that we had was just last week with Congress. They were presenting us with a bill. We were voicing our opinion about that bill. I think we have yet to see the outcome of that. But the negotiating style depends on presenting your side of the argument and presenting the facts the way you see it. And then if they don't agree, you listen to what their counter argument is, and you don't listen to refute. You listen to hear what they're saying and to try to take that into consideration so you can find a common ground. Because that's what it's all about. That's what compromise is. And your ability to compromise is essential whenever you're dealing with different people, different situations.
Thank you, Mr. Bristow. We will move into the optional 1-minute rebuttal, starting with Thomas Trumley.
Yes, once again, I'd like to say that leading a nation isn't an easy task. It takes group effort. It takes argument sometimes, and it takes compromise. With that being said, I have no problem reaching any of those heights to solve the issues, problems, or better our nation with our funding and our laws.
Thank you. Brooklyn Daly, optional rebuttal.
I would just like to say that, it's important. I know that stuff can get hot and stuff when we're discussing stuff because everyone feels very passionate about what they believe in. But it's when you're a leader, you need to be emotionally in tune and keep that repertoire that you're a professional and that people, whether or not that you believe it or not, that someone may or may not be looking up at you. Thank you.
Assistant Chief.
Yeah, I'll go on a little bit more, and I'm not going to name names, but there are individuals in this room that I've had disagreements with, not only in the chambers, but in the back, and we communicate by telephone or text message. We get along. We know that we are doing one thing, and that is to do what's best for the Osage Nation. We're not Republicans, we're not Democrats, we're Osages. And we all need to agree with that or understand that. So, again, I'm not going to name names, but I've had some heated discussions with some of my very best friends that I've developed over the course of my 14 years, not including the 10 years that I served as a director.
Thank you. Michael Bristow.
Okay, when you ask for a rebuttal, you want me to rebut something that they've said?
Preferably, you would be responding directly to what another candidate said.
Okay.
That's a true rebuttal.
I think all I can say is that it's the outcome that we're looking for. Whenever two people come together, we're looking for a solution, and that's the most important thing. And both sides are going to be passionate, and if we can listen to each other, if we can try to meet what each one of us wants, that's a compromise, that's common ground, and that's the way we get things done. And that's the way I want to do it if I'm elected.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move into our third and final question of this round. This one will begin with Brooklyn Daly. How do you envision Congress and the executive branch working together productively? And where do you think it's appropriate for Congress to push back?
Well, right now I'm in the executive building in the grants department, and I collaborate every day with the executive office. And I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again? I'm trying to.
Yes, ma'am. How do you envision Congress and the executive branch working together productively? And where do you think it's appropriate for Congress to push back?
So I'm going to keep talking about collaboration and communication. I've seen it firsthand that when we're not collaborating effectively, things can go awry. But when we are collaborating effectively, we can have great success between the executive and Congress. For example, right now, as my job, when we get awarded, we go through the appropriations process. That's a big deal. Our department does a lot of stuff on the back end, prepare that for Congress. And I believe that there could be some more communication in between that area where it's gray between budgets. And I'd like to, see more of that. I have a lot of experience in that area. As for where Congress should kind of back off a little bit, I don't really feel that way. I feel like Congress should be very in tune with everything what's going on with executive, and that is what unity is when we come together. If we're not all coming together, we're not going to be together. That's what's important. Thank you.
Thank you. Assistant Chief, same question.
I could probably talk a long time about this, having served on Congress and as Assistant Chief. But the answer to your question is, how can Congress push back? And that is by amending the law or making new law. Executive branch can push back by what's called separation of powers. Congress appropriates the money, they pass the laws, the executive branch, they administer those laws. That's how it should work. I remember, and this is going way back whenever I was the roads department director, I asked Hefsey Barnett, I said, hey, can we put together a roads commission? Like put a couple members of Congress on there, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, RJ, do you not know what separation of powers is? And I was like, well, kind of, I guess. But so the answer is by amending or changing or passing a new law. Let me think on that a little bit more, and I'll come up with something a little bit more with my 1 minute rebuttal. But that's a great question. I enjoyed that one.
Thank you. Michael Bristow.
Would you repeat the question for me, please?
Yes, sir. How do you envision Congress and the executive branch working together productively? And where do you think it's appropriate for Congress to push back?
Okay, yeah, that's easy. Okay. So it's appropriate when we see overreach, okay? When we see an entity that's overstepping the boundaries that are set by the Constitution. To put it in simple terms, we got to stay in our lane, right? And in the past, some of those conflicts have resulted in Congress bringing a lawsuit against the executive bringing a lawsuit against Congress, which I guess ultimately had to happen because it had to be tested in the court, and we had to have an answer come down. Because from that is new law. That is called case law, I believe. Okay. So that's when it's appropriate. Okay. Each side has to know what their job is and what their responsibilities are. And when we see overreach from anywhere, I think pushback is not only is essential, but it is required. You're not fulfilling your job title if you're not pushing back appropriately against that kind of outreach or overreach. And I think working with the different entities, the way I described earlier, is the best way to handle it. I mean, let's try not to resort to lawsuits. But like I said, sometimes the laws do have to be challenged for it to have a resolution come down from the court to establish new law. That can't always be avoided, but let's try to work together to try to avoid that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Tremblay, final response.
Yes. I like to say that all the candidates here have pretty much hit on everything I was wanting to talk about. But to add a spin in my own way, I would say that accountability, auditing, and across the board outreach on where our finances are, where the money's coming from, how the money's going to be spent, and what laws need to be in place to ensure that we don't have any disruption in our nation's services and our benefits.
Thank you. All right, we have now 1 minute rebuttals.
No rebuttal, thank you.
Assistant Chief.
Not going to be a rebuttal, but I'll piggyback a little bit on what Michael was talking about, and that's lawsuits. And I know the people get uncomfortable about that, and they don't like it because it costs the nation money. But it also sets a precedent that is needed to move forward. If we don't have conflict, then we don't necessarily learn, and we go through the same conflict over and over. So I don't like to unnecessarily spend money and go to court and fight one another, but your judicial branch is supposed to be the strongest and the backbone of your government, and they are underutilized, in my opinion.
Thank you. Michael Bristow?
Okay, so did you say this was a closing statement, or did you say this is a rebuttal?
This is the rebuttal.
This is a rebuttal
Yes,
to...
to this question, as far as responding to others' responses relating to the work productively or pushing back
Okay.
responses.
I do want to touch on what candidate Walker said. It is true that conflict is inevitable, right? But our ability to work past it using maturity, using reason, and using a common quest to solve the problem, that's going to be essential. And I know that that's not always going to happen, okay? But it is sometimes necessary to try that in the court so we can have new law. Like I said, that was case law. So yes, that's necessary sometimes. We'll try to avoid it.
Thank you. Thomas Tremblay, final rebuttal.
Yes, I think the lawsuits are unnecessary when we have our own. If we're talking about getting outside lawyers to work within our system, we have a constitution in place. We have a judicial system in place. We have lawyers that are paid by our nation in place. I really don't see the need for bringing outside contracted lawyers and paying them money that could be better spent on other programs or our people ourselves. So with that being said, I'm not really happy with the outside law firms.
Thank you, candidates. We will now move into 1 minute closing statements. Each candidate will have time to offer their final remarks. We will begin with our last on the line, Assistant Chief R.J. Walker, for your 1 minute closing statement.
Yeah, well, thank you, and thank you again, everyone, for being here. I know there's a lot of people listening in. So I guess this is a political event, so I'm going to tell you what I support. And I do support the big three: education, our burial assistance program, our health benefit program, support our clinic. I mean, that is an awesome clinic down there, and we're doing good things. I support autonomy between our boards and the executive branch. There's a misconception that the executive branch basically runs the boards. That is not true. I've been there for 4 years. That's not true. Chief has told me multiple times when I've talked about going to this or going to that, and he's advised me to listen, participate when asked. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Bristow?
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, just to kind of restate my my position, I want to fight for the health systems, to protect them, to strengthen them, and to make them stronger for the nation that are going to use them. And I also want to stand for tribal sovereignty. We're going to, through building coalitions with other nations and other tribes, because there's strength in that number. And we're going to have to oppose every single time that the state or the federal government tries to restrict us in jurisdiction or with funding. And I'll just close with, on every vote, I'm going to ask 2 questions. Will this make the people healthier, and will it leave our nation in a stronger sovereignty?
Thank you. Thomas Tremblay?
Yes, I like to say protect our Constitution, protect our sovereignty, help build what we've already got built in a maintaining manner so that we can properly, I would say, maintain the things that have already been built, our buildings, our institutions. Make sure that they are cared for, make sure we have the funding in place for that, and to protect our culture and language. I'd like to see a building built for that. That's kind of needed. And I'd like to see all our boards fully staffed. That being said, thank you very much, and I appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Our last closing statement with Brooklyn Daly.
For me, I just want to say thanks again for being here, and I'm a proud OU alumni. Not a lawyer, but I am an attorney by profession. I'm very proud of that. I'm working on my PhD. I want to use my education to serve the nation. I'm very adamant about that. That is one of my goals. And I hope that me being here today can inspire the younger generation, my generation, the generation below me, that if you put yourself through perseverance and tenacity to do what you want, you too can be here one day just like me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes our first round of candidates. Please joining me in giving them a hand. With that, we're going to take a short 5-minute break before our next round of candidates.
Actually, if you want to carry
All right, everyone, we're going to begin. If you could please quiet and take your seats. At this time, candidates will give their 2-minute opening statements. We will start with Congresswoman Alice Goodfox.
Hello? All right. Thank you first to the Osage News for hosting this event, and thank you to the Osage citizens that are online listening and watching, and thank you to the Osage citizens that are here. My name is Alice Goodfox. I am seeking re-election to the Osage Nation Congress. I reside in Hominy with my husband, Joe Goodfox Sr. We have one child, Joseph Goodfox, who is a junior at Fort Lewis College and plays football for the Skyhawks. I am excited to be here. I'm seeking re-election. This is my 5th consecutive term that I'm seeking. This doesn't get any easier. If you're not a little nervous, then you're not on. You got to be on your toes. And I'm just happy to be here and looking forward to the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Opening statement, Congressman Otto Hamilton.
Good afternoon. Otto Hamilton III. I'm an elected member of this Osage Congress. I am seeking a 3rd term. I was elected in 2014 and 2018, and again in 2022 to current. I'm from Pawhuska, Oklahoma, a member of the Wakon District. I went on to graduate from Pawhuska and then on to the University of Oklahoma. When I got my degree, I came back and worked for the nation in 2000, working in the education department. I worked in education until a position came open, which was then the strategic planning office. It later became strategic planning and grants management. I worked there at Leonard Maker, learning how to do grant writing and strategic planning until it came time to run for Congress in 2014, which I happily did and was elected. Also in 2018, I went to work for the National Indian Education Association in Washington, D.C., where I was a field associate, working in states, working with Every Student Succeeds Act, working with Indian communities and school administration. Then I came back and worked again in the grants office. Then again, when an election came open, I seek to throw my hat in again in 2022, and since has been elected.
Thank you. Opening statement, Congressman Eli Potts.
Thank you very much. My name is Eli Potts. I come from the Drum family in the Gray Horse District, and I'm seeking my 3rd term on the Osage Nation Congress as well. Thank you for everybody for coming today. Thank you to our elders who are out here. Thank you for taking time out of your work week to be here, to be part of this. Going back, I have my master's degree in public administration from the University of Oklahoma. I also graduated with my undergrad from OU and DC before that at a local community college. All of that was financed and paid for with the help of the Osage Nation Higher Education Scholarship. And that's why I came back immediately to work for the Osage Nation in 2015. That's where I started my career as the budget analyst for this Congress. And I like to say that Congressman Hamilton played a very key role in that because he served on that Congressional Affairs Committee that first gave me a chance to serve my nation. Since then, I sought election in 2018 and won, and have kind of furthered my education, earning a public leadership credential from the Harvard Kennedy School of Government and attending the inaugural Tribal Leadership Academy at Dartmouth College. One of the reasons that we stand here today and we ask for people to consider us to vote We ask why. Why am I here for a third time? And it's to continue what I started a long time ago, is to move this nation forward. And I asked my daughters last night, I said, help me prepare for this debate. Give me your tough questions. My little daughter thought about it for a little while. She said, Daddy, what do rabbits eat? Oh, that's a tough question. But that's why. I'm running so that she can continue to have that question, so that we can fight for our sovereignty, so that we can fight for education, and we can create a place for her for our future. That's why I'm running, because we still have work to do. Thank you, and I ask for your consideration as we go forward, and look forward to answering some more questions.
Thank you. Angela Pratt, your opening statement.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angela Pratt, and I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity to be here. Thank you to my debate mates here. I know all of them well, and so I'm just pleased to be here. So I also want to thank my elders for being here in the room and taking the time to come out here. I am the mother of 6 children. I have my husband Edward and I have 7 children together. I birthed 6, and they range from all ages. So I spent a lot of time with them and everything they have going on. So, but I'm back here running for Congress because I feel like I am an asset to our nation in our government. I do know from 2014 to 2022, I served on the previous Congress, and then, as many of you know, I ran for chief on principle because, the previous questions that was just asked before that, like how do they work together, and how does, all of this, and that's one thing is I hope that we do better in helping everyone even understand how our government works. So I want to be a more informative, I would say, because I mentioned this last time that I would like for the Congress to maybe have their own communications department so that we could get that information out directly to our people, and that's something that I would like to work on. I am an Army veteran, and I'm a very long time veterans advocate. I served as a Patriot missile crew member in the Army, and those are the missiles that you see going off overseas. And so I have been doing a lot of advocacy. Does that mean stop? Right, okay. All right, thank you. I mean, I do know on a stoplight it means stop.
Thank you. Thank you to all of our candidates. We'll now move into questions. Questions were submitted from Osage citizens selected by the Osage News Editorial Board. First question is, and we will be starting down the line, so this question will be going to Congressman Otto Hamilton. And you will have 2 minutes to answer. How will you approach evaluating services that are essential but expensive, such as health benefits, scholarships, and burial assistance?
Evaluating programs that provide services is, you have to think about it in 2 ways, qualitative and quantitative. And then some programs are such as our language program provides a service to our people. How do you measure that? When you're providing language and culture to our people, you can't put that in numbers. Either you have language or you don't. And you have to take care of it if you do. So you have to keep that in mind when it comes to these programs and services. Some of the numbers going into, or one of our grant-related programs, you use numbers to justify the cause and to the benefits of the people. That's easy to look at. You look at the numbers, you look at the dollars. Here on Congress, we appropriate the money. That's the qualitative way. But when you look at culture, you can't measure that. Like I said, either you have it or you don't. You have to take care of it. Some people that are out-of-state Osages who want to know why are we putting money into our language program or our culture program and it doesn't affect them out there, We have to explain to them that it's our job to take care of it here at home. If something happens to the language or our culture, it's our fault, not theirs. So that's a balance that you have to play as a congressperson. Keep that in mind. It's how these numbers affect each and every one and the impact they have.
Thank you, Congressman Eli. Same question.
Thank you. How will we evaluate programs essential but expensive? We have to do our best to hear from you. All of these services exist so that you can provide opportunities for your family. The health benefit, the higher education scholarship fund, unfortunately, the burial assistance fund. These are all things that are incredibly expensive. But when does it matter most to you? When you need those services. How am I going to evaluate that? Kind of the same way we always have been. We're going to get involved in our community and hear back from you. When you lose a loved one, we need to know how that process works. We need you to report back to us so that we can improve efficiencies on our side. When you have a child that goes off to university, we need to know how that process works so that we can improve it for you. That's how we evaluate and improve these efficiencies for our essential services. And what makes those services essential is exactly kind of what Congressman Hamilton talked about a minute ago. What services are we offering that are going to allow us to continue to fight for our sovereignty for the next 10 years? How are we sending our students to school to educate them in law, in legal studies, in tribal sovereignty in general, in the healthcare field? Those are the expensive fields that we fight for, and those are the things that we have to continue to invest in. So how will I continue to evaluate those? By doing what we've been doing and by propping up OFPR a little bit more as well, so that we have a built-in mechanism within Congress to report back to Congress on some of those data metrics that Congressman Hamilton. But I feel that we do a pretty good job about that, and I feel that we've done a pretty good job about investing in our future and investing in essential services. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela Pratt.
Well, having served on Congress before, the program plans come to the Congress for review, and so that's one way to look and see what the executive branch has in mind for the programs moving forward. But we also have the strategic plan that has been amended a few times during this administration, and so as a previous congressperson, that's why I took the measures to go ahead and file bills based off of what you, the people, said you wanted, because that wasn't necessarily happening. But we also didn't have the money to do any of that, which is, COVID was terrible, but in the end, it was almost a sort of a blessing in disguise. I don't want to call COVID a blessing, but that money came in and we were able to do some good things with it. And most of those initiatives came from the Congress. And so again, like my colleagues have said, by listening to you and following the strategic plan, that's one reason I wanted to go over to the executive branch. And like I said, I have a good understanding of how each branch works. I've also been, we talk about the judicial branch. I've been sued. I think there's maybe 2 Standing Bear versus Whitehorns and 1 Standing Bear versus Pratt. And so, I think that we have the oversight responsibility. And again, as was mentioned, OFPR is a good way, but that's because I had ideas that I wanted to go over to the executive branch. And talking about our language, I would love to see a cohort. And earlier you mentioned other tribes. What do? Well, they have a cohort of people that just live the language 24/7. Thank you.
Thank you. Congresswoman Alice Goodwalk, same question.
Thank you. I agree, strategic plans, program plans. We see what the participation is from executive in the numbers. I will go back to the census, something that I sponsored a couple of years ago. A lot of people don't like participating in a census, but the reality is we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what all of the needs are with all of the Osage people, even within the boundary, much less out of state. So participating in the census provides us with a guide of what those needs are. We've often talked about a cafeteria plan, so to speak, of what our direct services could be. I hear often from Osage citizens that say, I'm never going to tap into the health benefit. I'm never going to tap into the scholarship. That these are my needs. And so we've talked about as the direct services increase, the dollars increase. And so we've talked about a cafeteria plan and what does that look like? We don't know, but it might allow for Osage citizens who aren't able to utilize scholarship or they don't need health benefit to possibly get a different direct service.
Thank you. We'll now open it to 1-minute rebuttal, starting with Congressman Otto Hamilton.
I'd like to add now that currently the way it works with our committees in Congress, come to have a meeting with the program or the directors or the secretaries. That's when a lot of it gets hammered out. When it comes to appropriation. We need to reevaluate this program. We depend on a lot of the communication from the directors who themselves who implement the program. If more money is needed, if what issues are arising, if something that we didn't think of as a Congress, something else like that. So we depend on a lot of that in our community, in our committee meetings. For one, I'm the chair of the health committee currently. I would say communication goes a long way. Getting on the same page with your directors and your secretary and even the boards. So I'd just like to with that.
Thank you. Congressman Potts.
Thank you. What I'd like to say often is that we can't be all things to everybody, but we can be a little bit to somebody. That's why we exist as the Osage Nation government, is to serve our people. And this came to play yesterday in our congressional body. We had the question before us on whether or not we provide ambulance services to the city of Fairfax. The nation was able to step in and deliver that resource to the people of Fairfax so that they can continue to have ambulance services with qualified paramedics that respond to them in the event of an emergency. Is that expensive? Yes, sometimes it is. And throughout the year, we need to seek ways to improve that, hold people more accountable, and to get better service delivery. But is that essential? Absolutely. And that's what I'll continue to do as your member of Congress, is to cast votes in support of programs like that.
Angela Pratt.
Thank you. I was mentioning that before, is that if elected, I'm actually really excited to have a new administration, whoever it is. I know that I can work with either gentleman elected as chief, and I have relationships with them, and I also am familiar with, how they work, how they communicate, and the question that was in the previous group about when does Congress push back and separation of powers and things like that. Because a lot of times Congress has really good ideas, but you have to understand that we're just appropriating the money and we can't execute, but we want to. We wish that was moving forward, but we just have to, be here and do the best that we can and show the people that we, as a Congress, are working to fulfill your wishes and needs from the people, but that has to happen on the executive side. So I'm look forward to that.
Thank you. Congresswoman Fox.
No rebuttal.
Thank you. Moving on to our second question. This time we will begin with Congressman Potts. What can Congress do to welcome and include citizens who live outside of Oklahoma in Osage culture, language, governance, social gatherings, and programs?
Thank you for the question. To sum it up for those who may not have been able to hear it, what can we do to be a little bit more inclusive is essentially the basis of the question. 83% of our people live outside of the Osage Nation reservation area. There are 2 members of Congress that live outside of Osage County right now. I'm one of those 2 members. Can we do anything to improve how inclusive we are? Absolutely. But that also comes with some things that we need to be involved in as those who live outside of Osage County. We need to be contributing and giving back as well. We can't just take services and go the other way and pretend to be Osage. We have to be investing in our community, which is right here in our reservation area. So what can we do to continue that? I have a bill right now for Congress that makes some pretty significant amendments to our regional gathering fund that will enable Osages living anywhere in the United States the ability to meet on a more regular and easier basis. That is what builds that sense of community, that allows you to come together, allows you to have some of these shared language courses, some of these shared opportunities where you get to come together outside of our reservation area and continue to be Osage, continue to be reminded of who your family is, where you come from. Because when we make that connection, we all grow. That's how you end up with a teacher in the state of Washington that's able to explain what tribal sovereignty is to a high school student in Washington. And that matters because 10 years, 15 years down the road, when that person's serving in some legislative body, they have an understanding of what it means to have a Native American or an Osage friend that they can call. Living Osage can be in any community regardless of where you are. And I think we have to do a better job of being more inclusive.
Angela Pratt, same question.
Thank you. Well, I do want to say that I think that the language and culture programs do as much as, they can or is available, but we can always improve on that, on helping get some of that out, virtually or things like that. But and again, the Regional Gathering Fund takes money. And I just want to say, if anybody was to look it up, I did sponsor a bill to get rid of the Regional Gathering Fund, but it wasn't because I don't support that. It's because I felt every single time that a new group came in and wanted to, we want to do it this way, we want to do it this way, we were amending the law each time. And so I said, what chief is not going to put that in his budget or her budget? And, they can amend the policy at any time. So you don't have to come back to Congress to change the law each time. So that was the only thing that I was trying to, convey. That would be simpler. But it will take money. But I just want to applaud the current folks in the Language and Culture Department and how they try to put out as much as possible. But again, I have been one that's been very vocal over the years stating that, we have to take care of home. And this is how we're the folks who keep it going. If that's, we have that no more, the way we mourn, the way we, put folks away, the way we, have different things and wake and, a lot of, it begins from that moment on. Folks are sitting at the, coroner's office, and then they sit at the embalming office. That's going on with families, Osage families all the time, and it's a process all the way till we get to the funeral home, and then going the 4 days beyond that. So there's a lot that we have here that folks don't understand, and I do think that it takes themselves to immerse themselves in how we live.
Thank you. Congresswoman Fox.
Thank you. The Regional Gathering Fund is a great start. We often, as Congress members, travel to those. Executive does a good job of traveling to those. Language and culture, wow, they've really come a million miles in the last probably 5 or 6 years. The COVID dollars helped a lot of things go virtual. You are able to get on our website. You are able to participate in language classes via Zoom. We've just really seen that go in a direction that's very positive. But it's also a two-way street. As I've sat in this seat for 16 years, I have made dozens and dozens of friends across the country, and they stay in touch with me regularly when they have a question because they do know I am cultural. I've been on the Zonzoli committee as a committee cook. I'm the mother of the current Zonzoli drumkeeper, and I am happy always to share what I know, always. And if I don't know, I'm the first person to pick up the phone and call someone and say, I don't have the answer to this question, but I know who does. And maybe it's about naming. Maybe it's about, you know, how a woman dresses or just, I get many different questions, but I am always available to the Osage citizens, and they reach out to me often. Um, we provide a lot of things within the boundary for culture, right? We just had a Osage Princess sorority dance. We have the sovereignty dance. For those people that can't make it in June, there are so many other things going on here, but yes, they are here. And yes, you have to come here to experience those dances.
Congressman Hamilton.
I have a degree from University of Oklahoma in anthropology, which is the study of culture. My definition of culture is different from everyone else's, and I believe each and every one of us has our own definition. That's personal to all of us. But when it comes to Osage culture, I believe I was raised in Osage culture, and I believe we are open to everything. We I also, just like Congresswoman Goodfox, we meet people on our travels for Osages, and they have questions of how to come back and how to partake, and we have to be open and listen to. I believe we told one tribal member when he shows up to any community building to bring cake. He looked at it, we were crazy, but then he said, "You know what really works? It's an icebreaker. I bring in cake, and everyone loves me." And I'm like, "There's truth to that." And as far as culture now goes, I heard an elder talk the other day, and it really made me happy to hear that. He said there's more Osage language being spoken now than he has heard in the last 20 or 30 years. And I couldn't help but I was like, I have to agree to that statement. I've seen it, I've heard it. The dances that Congressman Goodfox just mentioned, there are a lot of Osage being spoken. It's not something that's looked down upon anymore, or people are ashamed of, or people are scared of making mistakes. Our kids are taking it and running with it. I couldn't be more prouder than that. And I also like to say, at 49 years old, I've been dancing since I was 7 years old. And I tell people this is that I'm still learning. I don't know everything. I thought I did, but then something else comes along. I never thought about that. There's something else to look at, a different perspective.
We'll now move into rebuttals, starting with Congressman Potts.
Maybe. Here we go. Not necessarily a better rebuttal, but it's to build upon what we just talked about. And Congressman Hamilton is right. Our language is thriving. We can look at that all around. What I would like to say is we have to be more intentional about what we do. I wrote a bill that would have provided food boxes during the pandemic to any Osage citizen, delivered food to their house. And one of the things I said is we need to put our Osage language in those food boxes so that when they open that on their doorstep, they see our language being delivered to them. We can be more intentional about these things. There's a lot more that I can say about that, but Congressman Goodfox is right, and you've built upon that. You are very welcoming, and both my colleagues on the stage, Congressman Hamilton included, helped me in our dances. You've helped my family into these dances. For that, I'm forever grateful. That's what we have to build upon, because we are one family, and the more that we do that, the more we reach out, the more inclusive we are, the better and stronger we will be. Thank you.
Angela Pratt.
Thank you. Just back to the question, I guess, was what can we do to be more inclusive? And I think we're all sharing lots of ways and looking at the current administration, and they're doing the best job that they can to be inclusive. And I don't think it's ever meant to be an us versus them. I think back to my uncle, the late Dr. Stephen Pratt, who just passed away, and he had an article that came out and said, "What kind of Osage are you?" And that kind of rubbed some people the wrong way, but that's just, he didn't mean it. And we have to look inside, and what are we trying to do, and who are we going to be, because we have to keep sustaining that here, otherwise it's no more. And so it's not an us versus them. I have family who live in El Reno, Oklahoma. So, they can be near or far, but it's about how you participate. And what people on the campaign trail in the past have said, Thank you. I'll tell you later what they said.
Congresswoman Good Fox.
No rebuttal.
Congressman.
I know at one time our families took care of these cultural questions for us. And at one time our families were all close knit. That's not the case today. We have families far apart, families that weren't raised here, families that are trying to come back. So we have to take that in consideration. It's no one else's fault if you weren't raised here. I was born in the state of California. But I come back, my family brought me back, and they made sure that I had the option to learn. You know, it wasn't easy to come back and learn, and like Congresswoman Pratt said, we came back for funerals. That's a hard thing to learn about. And it, also as an adult, you continue learning. So I think today we have ways where we can help families now that are coming back home, with the cemetery being built for Osage Cemetery, and I'm very proud of that. That's for families to come back home and be a part of something.
Thank you. Now move to our third and final question, beginning with Angela Pratt. Federal policy affecting Indian country, including BIA and IHS funding, tribal consultation requirements, and treaty rights, can shift rapidly. How will you monitor those changes, and what will you do when federal action threatens Osage interests? Yes. Federal policy affecting Indian country, including BIA and IHS funding, tribal consultation requirements, and treaty rights, can shift rapidly. How will you monitor those changes, and what will you do when federal action threatens Osage interests?
Thank you. Well, I would say, for one, that that happens all the time. It happens, you know, with each administration. It happens when we have a Republican president or a Democratic president, and so that does change often, and it does affect us. It's heavily affecting us right now in this administration. And but tribal consultation is extremely important, and I would encourage the Osage Nation to take that more seriously and participate on a higher level. The leaders at the top, because I've participated on many hours all through COVID, twice a week. Was on White House calls for tribal leaders and then non-tribal leaders every week during COVID, and talking about you know, what was affecting us and what the opportunities were or weren't. And we just didn't do that well I believe, in the Osage Nation didn't participate in that very heavily. But even then, you could sit there for hours and listen to tribal leaders across the country say, we want it this way, this way, this way, and agree. 200 tribal leaders, and the federal government still goes a different way. So that is tough. So I would go to Washington. I would take my seat at the table that is there for us to be in, because per our sovereignty, we do have a seat. It's always there. It's sitting there, and I would go sit in it. And I would take my colleagues and go sit in it. I would make sure, you know, in communicating with our chief, that our chief is right there, speaking up for us. That it takes us, because they're going to do us however they're going to do us, and they're going to continue to do it that way.
Thank you. Congresswoman Good Fox, same question.
Thank you. This happens all the time. All the time. The Congress has a role, and our role to support the executive branch with an appropriation for people that he or her may deem necessary to be following at the federal level, at the state level. We also have another role, right? As cuts are made, BIA or even IHS, they were specifically mentioned. We've had to we've had to put in tribal dollars for a few things actually that were cut during the last administration, the first administration of Trump. We saw Johnson O'Malley. We saw a few areas that were just completely cut. We know that we have Osage citizens that depend on that. And so Congress came together and we said, you know what? We're going to make sure that our Indian children have school supplies. Trump may have cut that, but we're going to put it back. Now, eventually, the United States Congress put the dollars back, right? But Congress has a role, and if we can make it happen when things are cut, I think that we're willing to, as the dollars allow, to make sure that services are not cut. Thank you.
Congressman Hamilton.
When I worked for the National Indian Education Association, one of my jobs was to work with the Every Student Succeeds Act. Travel to communities and school administrations to make sure everyone was on the same page. For those that know legislation, the Every Student Succeeds Act is about that thick. And I didn't read it from page to page. But one of the points I was told to make was when it came to tribal consultation, which tribal consultation is mentioned a lot in the act, but consultation itself is not defined anywhere in the act. So we told Indian communities up north in Minnesota and Washington and Oregon, take it upon yourself to define consultation and what it means to you. The government defines consultation as what, one meeting, they do all the talking, and then they leave one time a year. We told these Native communities, take it upon yourself, define consultation, lay out the groundwork for what consultation means to you. Consultation is not one time a year. Consultation is not one party talking. Consultation goes back and forth. And consultation happens as needed. That way they're proactive. And then the federal administrators that they didn't know how to take that. They came in laying the groundwork one time a year. We come in, we talk for 20 minutes, we leave. That's consultation. Here, tribal people sign off on it, that it happened. Well, that changed everything. The tribal people stopped signing off on that consultation. Say it did not happen like we wanted it to happen. Again, the points were consultation happens when there's both sides involved. Consultation happens more than once a year. And that way, we empowered the people to be active in that role. Be more active, to be at their place at the table, so they can know what's going on.
Thank you, Congressman. Congressman Cox.
Thank you. The question was, how will we monitor when federal actions threaten Osage interests? I got to tell you, if we're monitoring it, we're too late. If you're waiting for it to happen, we're too late. If we're being reactive, we have to be proactive in that fight. We can't sit around and wait for officials in Oklahoma City, Tulsa County, and Osage County, or in Washington, D.C. to come up with a new way. They're going to find it. We have to be proactive in our fight. What is our role in Congress? 12 of us, 6 of us that you get to vote for. We have to look for ways to improve our sovereignty. We can't wait around for them to cut funding to child care services. We have to be able to provide those child care services. We can't wait around for them to make cuts to IHS. We have to be proactive by investing in our clinics. We have to build more clinics in each of our communities. We can't wait around for them to figure out how they want to listen to us in tribal consultation. We have to go to DC and advocate, fight with our voice, and speak with one voice, united. When their chief walks in that room, they should know that that chief carries the responsibility and the backing of this Congress. If they go there on behalf of minerals, they should walk into that room and know that that Minerals Council stands there with them. We haven't done a good job about that. What I'm hoping from this next administration is that we see some unity, we see a collaborative effort to go to DC and advocate for our rights and stand up for us as a nation, because that's how we monitor what they're trying to do. We be proactive and we go fight. We don't wait for it to come to us.
We now have 1 minute rebuttals.
Thank you. I wholeheartedly agree with Congressman Potts on that, and I actually have experience testifying before Congress to the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs, and so I have gone to testify in Washington, D.C. and on behalf of veterans, housing, health care, and so on, their benefits, expanding their benefits, or demanding that they receive the benefits that they have earned. And so the same goes for tribal nations. Those, I always say, those are my favorite people, veterans and Indians. And so I'm an Indian veteran, so I like being that. And you know, I was appointed to, you know, well, I'm the first ever female to co-chair the National Congress of American Indians Veterans Committee, and I take that very seriously. I advocate all across the country and represent many veterans, and so I will go to Washington and take care of you.
Thank you. Congresswoman Good Fox.
Thank you. I don't have a rebuttal, just oftentimes in the last, I would say 8, 9 years, Congress are kind of the last to know when we have been the last to know when something has been cut at the federal level. We might hear from an employee with supporting the executive branch, and I think we've been willing to do that, and I think that we will continue to do that. But we just need a better communication between in order to do
Congressman Hamilton.
Yes, I agree with my colleagues. Being proactive is the way to be like this and on top of things. But it's also hard for 12 members of Congress to be on the same page about anything without proper communication and understanding. That's something that we need to be better of. And we often tell each other that we need to be proactive in this, not reactive. Also, being reactive in this process, it's commonplace. We do it often.
Congressman Potts.
Thank you. I think Congressman Goodfox is right. We are often the last to know. I think that's by design. What I'm hopeful for is that with the next administration, we have collaborative efforts to bring us together. That's the only way we're going to get to it. We found out we were suing the federal government in a newspaper article. That's not our fault. That was by design. That lawsuit took months to prepare. And our executive branch filed that without consultation of his own legislative branch. That's a problem. We have to do more to be proactive. We have to be involved. We have to demand equality and better representation.
Thank you to all the candidates. We will now move into 1 minute closing statements. Each candidate will have time to offer final remarks, and we will begin at the top again. So, Congresswoman Alice Goodfox, 1 minute.
Thank you. My undergraduate degree is from the University of Maryland, from OU. I am a head right owner. I am a restricted land owner. I am humbly asking for your vote and support. It's been a blessing, and it's been an honor of a lifetime to sit in this seat for 16 years and seek my last 4 years. So I still want to be your voice. I still want to be working for you, and I humbly ask for your vote and support. Thank you.
Congressman Hamilton.
I just want to thank everyone for being here today and the Osage News for putting this on. I didn't grow up wanting to be a tribal politician. Those who know me know I was the quiet kid in the back with my head down. I didn't want to be in politics. I knew I had to go get a degree and come back, and all I wanted to do was work for my nation. I grew up running around in tribal offices, talking to aunts and uncles, getting quarters for vending machines, running to get them cigarettes. I wanted to work in an office job like that, so I went and got my degree, and I came back. After doing that for a few years, I realized I want to do more for my nation. So I'm asking for your vote to help me get elected to a third term of the Osage Nation Congress.
Congressman Potts.
Thank you. I'm also asking for your consideration to allow me to continue to serve you. We still have a lot of work to do. I'm going to go back to my daughters. That's the most important thing for me. Her question last night was pretty simple. Dad, what do bunnies eat? I got it wrong. I said, remember, but I got it wrong. So always be humble. That's why I'm here. Her job as my daughter and as an Osage child is to be optimistic about the future, to worry about the things that bunnies eat. My job as your congressman is to fight for your sovereignty, to create programs like Pathfinder that are going to give her a career 15 years from now, to invest in her education and the higher ed scholarship, to invest in our economic development so that they can be on TV at OU, so that they can have a design studio in New Mexico, so that they can show the world what Osage art looks like, so that they can have installments at our state capitol that show what Osage is to the world. That's my job as your congressman, and that's what I'm hoping to be able to do for another 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Closing statement, Angela Pratt.
Thank you. I just would like to express that I believe that my education and experience here within this government, in my profession, other areas, in my advocacy and network across Indian country is, those are my strong suits that I bring to the Osage Nation. And I just want to say that I care for you. I mean, I'm Osage. I have a vested interest. I have 6 children. I'm just found out I'm going to be a grandma. So I'm finally the main eco, and I'm really proud of that. And I take care of, I put myself forward. I work hard, and I do it just as all of you are my family, as I'm doing this for my children. And so I just really ask you to, consider supporting me. I would really love all of you to vote for me and tell all your friends and neighbors to vote for me. Just kidding. But I work hard, so thank you.
That concludes our second round of candidates for the day. Please join me in giving them all a hand. We'll take one more short break ahead of our third and final round. opening statement and 1 minute each for a closing statement. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question and 1 minute for rebuttal. The candidate's name, who is first in alphabetical order, will answer the first question and then so on. The timer, Tristavon, will warn candidates when they have 30 seconds left and will stop a candidate when the time is up. The host moderator will make sure that each candidate takes their turn in answering the question, and will also make sure all candidates have a chance for their 1 minute rebuttal. The moderator also reserves the right to shorten answer periods for the sake of time. Candidates may choose to pass on their rebuttal. Candidates will be offered time for rebuttals in the same order in which they responded to the question. All answers will remain civil, and candidates will refrain from personal attacks. The moderator reserves the right to disqualify any candidate who cannot adhere to this rule from further debate. At this time, candidates will give their 2 minute opening statements. We will start with William Fenton.
Hey, sorry about that. Good afternoon. My name is William Fenton. I'd like to thank the Osage News and everybody for being here. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to hear what we have to say. I originally am from San Antonio, Texas. After graduating high school, I went into the Navy, and I was in the Navy for 20 years, and I supervised the operation and maintenance of nuclear power plants on naval ships. So retired from the Navy in 2009, and then for 10 years I was a contractor for the Navy. At the end of my naval career, I got into process improvement, stuff like Lean Six Sigma, theory of constraints, and that's what got me my job after I retired. I worked for the Space and Naval Warfare Center, San Diego, which does all the IT for the Navy, doing the systems engineering technical review process. And while I was doing that, I started doing some software development, and that got me more into IT. In 2018, when the elections were happening, I got involved with the Southern California Osage group, and when the candidates came out to campaign, that's when I met Chief and Congressman Hamilton, who was running for assistant chief at the time, and some other people, and really was excited and wanted to work for the nation. I put in and became the IT director for the Osage Nation, the operations manager for the IT department. After 3 years, the director left. I became the director for 3 years, and now I'm a teacher at Pawhuska High School, and I'm running for Congress and looking for your vote. I appreciate your time.
Roscoe Mays, opening statement.
My name is Roscoe Mays, and I would appreciate your vote. And I love all the Osage people, far and wide. It's fantastic. And what you guys have done so far is amazing. And my band is Strike Axe, and my clan is Sing Ta. And my mother, of course, you all know, was Norma Jean Mays. She was over, or the secretary of 4 chiefs, starting with Sylvester Tinker, Ed Red Eagle, Tall Chief, and Tillman. And I'm a cattleman and a businessman, and I'm running the smoke shop in Bartlesville for my family. I was a union organizer, and I don't know if anybody knew that I was the manager for the Marvin's grocery store in Hominy. Anybody? Well, I got rid of all the white people and hired Native Americans because they were stealing. They were sliding groceries while I was gone. So the only ones I could trust were Native Americans. And then it was just My mother asked me to run the smoke shop, and I've been doing it, and my family's been doing it for 40 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Congresswoman Redcorn. Kind of, yes. Have to hold it maybe about right here. Nope, it's not on.
Is that better? Okay, good. I am Whitney Redcorn. I'm excited to be here today. I just want to thank all of you for taking the time out of your day to come. I want to thank our current leaders. Some of our current leaders are here, others that are running for other offices, and our elders. And I really, truly just want to take the time to thank you for coming and putting the effort into this process. It's a big deal, and I don't take that lightly. So thank you for giving me the time of your day today. I have been married to my husband, Mike, for almost 18 years this year. I am the mother of 2 sons. I was born here in Pawhuska. We moved to Tulsa when I was about 6, however old you are between kindergarten and 1st grade. Moved to Tulsa at that time. My parents continued to run business back here for a number of years. And I now raise my family, and my husband and I live in Bixby. So I am one of those other congressperson that Congressman Potts mentioned that lives outside of Osage County. That's me. My background is in education. That's where I came from before I had the pleasure of being elected to this office. This is my first term. I served as an early learning center director previously for a better part of a decade. And my education background is both my bachelor's and my master's are in organizational leadership. And I currently am a doctoral candidate for administration and leadership. So still working on in that field and working on that 3rd degree. I am currently serving as your 2nd speaker in Congress in my 1st term, and this has truly just been one of the most incredible learning experiences to experience, and I have just loved it. I'm running because I want to continue supporting this system and growing this system and reinforcing this system. I want to work to strengthen our education system in the future and create a system that is strong and sovereign and a place where my children look to come to when they want to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Opening statement, Leslie Thomas.
Hi, my name is Leslie Tinker Thomas. I am with the Mottled Eagle Clan Sky Division. My Osage name is Zathado, looking at eagle. I got a God nudge. People ask me why I got into politics. This is my first candidacy, and God just nudged me on that. I went on the Osage Historical Preservation Site tour. Has anyone gone on that? I really had a spiritual awakening to that, going to Tonka and Camdenton, Missouri, and seeing where our people lived there for 900 years. Touched me. So my grandparents, Willie L. Rogers, and my grandmother, Leela Tinker, were both Osage. I drove my grandpa to the council meetings. I stayed in those council meetings with the elders, mainly the men and the woman's secretary, pounding their fists, cussing, smoking cigars and pipes, and arguing and yelling. And I was young. I was like, why are they so mad? Well, they were fighting for not only themselves, but for us and our generations to come. And I hope I can continue, not to cuss and smoke pipe, but continue to bring that, our culture and our traditions and protection for our people. There's all good candidates here. I've made, I think, some friends for life. I don't call them my opponents. I call them my future teammates. You have a hard choice on June 1st. I hope that you will be able to choose the candidate that is the best match for you, your focus, your desires, your needs. Every candidate's going to mention transparency, respect, communication, education, health, sovereignty, elders, etc. But I hope that you will be able to hear the experience and knowledge that I can bring. 30 years of training and development, teaching from elementary to college. He mentioned Six Sigma. That is a process improvement, thinking outside the box. I'll have more to come later. Thank you.
We will now move into questions. So we're going to start these down the line. Next will be Roscoe Mays answering this first question. How do you understand Congress's oversight role over the executive branch, and under what circumstances would you use that authority even when it creates conflict with the chief's office?
I would not use that. I believe in unity with Congress, the executive branch, the Minerals Council, the BIA. That's where we get divided. And being divided, we are not strong. We are weak. So we need to be on the same page as everybody. And I believe that the new chief, whoever it is, and the assistant chief, we can work together, not against one another, but together, unified. Just like we are at the Alaska. We're all family. We're all together. When we go to a funeral, there's no bickering, fighting. We're all family. We're all together. But we only do it 3 weeks out of the year, and I'd like to see it the whole year, unified. And that's my goal. Unity. Help the elders.
Thank you. Congresswoman Redcorn, same question.
Thank you. So the way I understand Congress's oversight role is it's pretty specific because it is in law. It is laid out for us in the Constitution as to how we're to operate and what our job is and what our role is. Congress has a really effective tool in their toolbox that we do utilize, and I think it works to our benefit, but OFPR is one of our greatest tools that we can utilize. Is that better? Just trying to hold your attention. So we're the last group. It's going to take a little bit. But OFPR truly is one of our best systems of keeping that oversight. And OFPR creates a relationship between the legislative branch and the executive branch. It creates an ability to have eyes in all the systems and all of the processes, and for OFPR to report back to Congress how those systems are working and to identify places where it might not be working and where it can improve our relationship and that working relationship between executive and the legislative branch and how the law is working well for everyone. And it helps us identify holes in the law also where we can go back in and amend and legislate in places where it's needed because there may be a breach in the system or a little bit of vulnerability in the system. OFPR has caused tension in the past, but I still believe it's our best tool that's in our toolbox. I think we have to get to a place where we're approaching one another always, that these checks and balances and that these systems of oversight that are in place are there for our good, all of our good, and that they're not to be feared in the sense that they are there to get you in trouble. But when we communicate with one another and we let one another know that we have the same direction in mind, the same mission and vision and goal in mind, we can see those systems of oversight as a benefit. And as truly a tool to help support what each of us are doing in our branches.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Leslie Thomas, same question.
Can you hear me all right? Yes. Whitney brought out the fact that the laws are established. In the perfect world, yeah, we would all get along, we would all agree on the same thing, have the same opinion. That's not how it works. I mean, all of us are going to have different ideas, different opinions, different feedback, but that's where we as Congress have to think of the betterment of the Osage people overall. It's not what I want, it's not what Whitney wants, etc. It's what the voice of the Osage people say. If there is a situation, hopefully not, but if there ever is a situation where we have to bring in the oversight for the executive branch, I think that we do it civilly. We have a meeting of the minds. We talk about the good, the bad, put it out on pros, cons, etc., and listen to the Osage people. Listen to what they want. And that's not just I love Osage County, don't get me wrong. I hope I live here one of these days. It makes my heart good to see Osage County. But we also need to hear the voice of the other people as well outside of Osage County. So I think if we keep the opinion that what is the betterment, what is the best for the Osage people, if we have to pull that authority, oversight, then we do that.
Thank you. William Benton, same question.
Auditing and holding each other accountable is something that is unifying. None of us are perfect. People make mistakes, but we need to keep an eye on each other because we are here for the Osage people and we're here for the Osage Nation. So it's not about me. It's not about me being perfect. It's not about anybody being perfect. But we need to keep each other in line and make sure that we're held accountable. In Congress, if the executive branch were to violate a law, then we have ways to do congressional inquiries. I have been before Congress before as a director talking about things that have happened in my department. And it should be that way. As a director, I should be up there saying, this is what happened. This is what we're doing about it, because Congress needs to know and the people need to know. And it should not be divisive to be held accountable.
Thank you. We'll have now 1 minute rebuttal. The first goes to Roscoe Mays.
Yes. Talk to everybody about unification. It means a lot to me and a lot to the elders. I've talked to a lot of people and they want to be unified. That's why we're up here. All the candidates are really good candidates. I've never worked for the tribe, ever. And I've worked on the ranch forever, worked for my brother at the smoke shops, and I've worked for the union as a organizer. So I deal with a lot of different kinds of people, backgrounds, and we need to be unified.
Thank you. Congresswoman Redcorn.
Thank you. So you'll never hear me say that I'm afraid of oversight or accountability. When you have healthy relationships with anybody, whether it's in an organization or with a person, accountability is one of the best parts of that. And that accountability and oversight role should be comforting. It should let you know on both sides of the equation that there's safety in that, right? That you know that person sees what you're doing, they're looking out for you, and they intend for you to be successful, so they're watching over those processes to make sure that you're going to be as successful as possible. Accountability is healthy, even in times when it causes tension. If it causes tension because it raises an issue, it's healthy to grow from that. I just think that when you have better oversight and accountability, that when problems come up, it gives you an easier way to deal with them because you have a good relationship with one another and it's fixable.
Thank you. Leslie Thomas.
I have read through the Constitution. I won't say I have memorized it all because I'm far from that, but that's why it's on our website so that we can look at it. The mission of Osage Congress is, Nation Congress, is to preserve the checks and balances of the government, also to carry out oversight responsibilities to enhance government accountability. So that is one of our roles. Yes, I would love for everyone to, like I said, I want to unify people. I want to unify the Osage County people with the quote outsiders. I've been an outsider. I have lots of friends though here in Osage County. My mother overhears going to be 86 in June, Billy Stafford, and they have acreage in Osage County that maybe one of these days will be my homestead. But yeah, that is one of our roles as Congress. So like Whitney, I'm not afraid to stand up.
Thank you. William Fenton.
I waive my rebuttal.
Thank you. All right. Our second question, we'll begin with Congresswoman Redcorn. How do you see the Osage Nation's relationship with the state of Oklahoma? And where do you think there is either opportunity or risk in that relationship that Congress should be paying attention to?
That's a good one. Where do I see our relationship with the state of Oklahoma? Well, we have one. We have one. Is it the best that it could possibly be? No, probably not. And obviously that comes with a lot of baggage in my answer, because we all know the relationship that we're battling at a state level currently. We have that governor leaving office. That's great. I think, what can Congress do in its role, I think, to help that? You know, we have a new administration that we're looking to there as well. So this administration's going to change. There's going to be new faces in Congress also. But the state of Oklahoma's administration is about to change in a lot of ways too. From their attorney general to their governor, to lieutenant governor, lots of seats that are open in the House and the Senate. There's going to be a lot of change. I think that creates an opportunity for us to form new relationships. And I will preach it from the mountaintops. I'm a highly relational person and I love to talk. And I think that the best way to generate healthy relationships with people is to talk. Just talk often and listen. Because if you don't talk to one another, you can't get to know one another and you can't hear one another's hearts. And so I think we as a nation have to put ourselves in a position where we're constantly talking nicely, openly, and friendly with the folks at the state level. We have to keep our hearts postured in the right way at all times. And in my mind, that does not mean behaving like we're always in a fight. I don't operate that way personally. So going in defensive to me is counterproductive, but we have to keep talking. And I think we have a really unique opportunity in front of us with a new administration here in our government, but then also at a state level too, where we can start to build some really, really healthy relationships at the state level and with other tribal nations as well.
Thank you. Leslie?
Had a good discussion. I'm loud enough that I can talk without a microphone. Trust me. Check. There we go. We had a good discussion at the meet and greet in Bartlesville the other night. Mike Bristow brought up a lot of good ideas and some good information. Yeah, we have a relationship, and I'll be politically correct and say there's a lot of opportunity there to build those relationships. We have to get in front of the people, like Whitney said. We have to build those relationships. I actually trained team building. Even though we're on different teams, we do have to have those discussions. The squeaky wheel, right? We have to be in front of that side of the government that we, as Osage people, they recognize us and that we have that voice. To say that our governor saying that we all the tribes should be all one, right? Sounds great. Let's get rid of their sovereignty. We've got to protect that. So we have to stand one as Osage people and build those relationships. That's our job, to get in front of the other government officials and make that wheel squeak.
Thank you. William Fenton, same question.
The relationship between the nation and all tribes in Oklahoma right now is strained, and it's concerning. I agree that I would love to start with a cordial path and work together. I think that the strongest thing and the best thing that we can do is exert our sovereignty and our independence. The more independent we are, the stronger position we're going to have. And we may have to take the gloves off and fight. And if we need to do that to save our nation and to save our sovereignty, then let's do it. I would love to do it with talking and collaboration, but if it comes down to it, I'm willing to fight. I'm willing to fight for the Osage Nation. I'm willing to fight for my people. Like I said, I think that the best way to arm ourselves for that fight is to be independent, show our sovereignty, quit asking people to let us be sovereign. Let's be sovereign and make them tell us that we're not.
Roscoe Mays.
Governor Keating is not our friend. You all know that. So we get in a new governor, it'll be great for us. But right now, no. We don't have a tobacco compact. That's a big concern. But we've reached a lot of strides in building our cattle herd. We're making millions of dollars, but we got 2 ranches. And we need to put cattle on the other ranch also. We need to combine them together. We've got a drone operation. We got broadband. But the other tribes have been doing it for years. I've got broadband at the smoke shop. It's been 2 years. And it's great that we've started it, we've done it. We're making money on everything, millions of dollars. So I'm grateful for the candidates and Congress and all the tribal leaders that have did this for us. Thank you.
All right, now we'll have time for 1-minute rebuttals, starting with Congresswoman Redcorn.
Thank you. I won't have really a rebuttal because honestly, Mr. Fenton said it best, I think. I think the only thing I would add to that is to be present, because I think in the most recent years, maybe Congress, because the question was posed, what can Congress do in this new relationship, and how can Congress work to build this relationship? And Congress needs to be present. That's a unity of government issue. And I think that if Congress is more present in the future in these conversations and in these roles, it will help things. Congress has not really exerted itself often at the state level, and I think we just need to be present more.
Thank you. Leslie Thomas?
I don't really have a rebuttal. I apologize for walking off. I had a jumping spider on my podium. They're my favorite spiders, so I'm not scared of spider. I come off. But no, they've said everything. Just we've got to protect our sovereignty, and we have to be present. We have to show up and let them hear our voice.
William Fenton?
The only things I'd like to add are the way that we become more independent and less dependent on the state is economic development. We need a Chamber of Commerce, an Osage Chamber of Commerce. We need a economic development department as part of the nation. We need to be strong. We need to have our own independence, not depend on the state. That gives us a position of authority and allows us to push what we need to push.
And Roscoe Mays? 1-minute rebuttal. All right, thank you so much. Now we will move into our third and final question. We will begin with Leslie Thomas. Leslie Thomas, what is your stance on the anti-Two-Spirit LGBTQIA plus legislation bills being passed in Oklahoma? And how can you help preserve the health and well-being of Two-Spirit LGBTQIA plus tribal citizens?
Well, number one, we're all people. We're all human beings. I have members of my family. My daughter's gay. I don't love her any less. I don't think she should be any less deserving of anything. I have other family members that fall in that category. Everyone deserves the same equality. I don't see how you can pick someone out because of their belief of who they want to be with. If we do that, then let's start looking at other beliefs and start singling out those people because they're different. So as far as equality, I mean, it would have my support.
Thank you. William Fenton, same question.
I don't support any legislation that tries to dehumanize anybody. That's what colonialism tried to do to us. They tried to dehumanize the Native American and use that as an excuse to get rid of us and treat us inhumanely. I believe that Osage County in particular should be a safe haven that anybody can come and be treated with respect and dignity. That's what I'll fight for in Congress, because I am here to represent every Osage, period.
Thank you. Roscoe Mays, same question.
I believe that Leslie has spoken obviously great, and I love it. I have a gay daughter, and I treat her the same as my other daughters, and I treat every Osage the same. So that's it.
Thank you. Congresswoman Redcorn, same question.
Thank you. A lot of the legislation that's coming out of the state of Oklahoma has to do with health choices and issues with health issues and that. And I think as a Congress, the thing that I can do and the thing that this Congress can do is continue to support and advocate for and have oversight in a health system that is designed to promote the health and well-being, the complete health and well-being of every citizen of this nation. I think the other important thing to remember here is that we are not the state of Oklahoma. They can pass whatever law they choose. We are still the Osage Nation, and we have our own citizens. And as a congressperson, I've taken an oath to consider the health and well-being of every Osage and to ensure that they thrive and that they have a prosperous future. That's the oath I've taken. So just as Mr. Fenton said, it's making sure that we don't pass any legislation that's discriminatory in any manner towards any of our citizens, creates that division and that separation out from the whole is vital. And we can also work to make sure that our health system has choices that are best for everyone, so that when they need to turn and utilize a system that's not with the state because it's not in their best interest, they have us to turn to and we can care for them. So it's a sovereignty answer, it's an oath answer, it's a heart answer. We're supposed to care for and love every one of our citizens and ensure that we don't do anything divisive or to separate anybody out from the whole.
We have time for 1-minute rebuttals. Leslie Thomas.
I agree with everything everybody said. We can't start singling out people because of beliefs or, blue-eyed people over here, brown-eyed people over here. There's lots of things I've read comments on Facebook and some you don't want to read. My ancestors, my Latis, all have the blue eyes, fair skin. I thought I was going to see some really brown-eyed, dark-skinned ancestors, but I guess the French side kind of pulled over. But we can't start singling out people for beliefs or because they're different. We're all family. We're all family. So I would just ensure that all citizens feel safe and respected regardless of their belief.
Thank you. William Benton?
I have no rebuttal.
Roscoe Mays?
Get this turned on. I'm wearing sunglasses because I had surgery on my right eye. So I just want you to know I'm not a movie star or anything. But I agree with Leslie on that, and I don't have anything else to say. Thank you.
Final rebuttal, Congresswoman Redcorn.
I don't have a rebuttal. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much to all the candidates. We will now move into closing statements, starting at the top. Each candidate will have time to offer final remarks, 1 minute. And so we will begin with William Fenton.
Just want to say that in my time in the IT department, I helped to create the broadband department. I helped to create 5 high-paying jobs for Osages. So I've created jobs. I've done the work. I helped the language and culture departments write their charters for their CARES Act funds to create the websites and the videos that Ryan Redcord made. And I'm the guy that they taught that cake was what you bring to the dances. And I moved here in 2019 with my daughter, and it's always felt like we've come home. Never stepped foot in Oklahoma before, but I've always felt home.
Thank you. Roscoe Mays.
I'm a rancher and I'm a businessman. I'm not a politician, but I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Congresswoman Redcorn.
Thank you. I think the thing that has stood out to me the most in the last couple of weeks running for re-election this time, because I've had the joy of serving these last 4 years, and reflecting on these last 4 years, I'm a little bit determined and a little stubborn in my desire to have this to be a strong house and a strong foundation for my boys to come back and bring their children to when they get old. That's what I want. Opportunity to do this again. I'm a teacher at heart. What I do, doing, and I want to keep being able to do that. I find tremendous joy equipping others with a system that works and allows them to thrive. And being a legislator, that's what I get to do. I get to see the system and see the whole and find ways to make our government stronger and allow it to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And Leslie Thomas.
Really quickly, I have a sheet in the back that has all of my work experience. Very quickly, I have 30 years experience in finance and banking. I've been an underwriter, I've been in loan review, I've been auditing, I've been in real estate appraising, Six Sigma certification, which is process improvement. I think outside the box. I have the team building experience to try to unify and make us have one voice for all. Change management. I've been in communication, policies and procedures. I've been in gaming. I've been the training and development manager for Osage casinos and also for Muskogee Creek Nation. We taught management. We taught peer to boss. We taught team building. I've taught computers at the Hominy Connors Correctional Center in Turley. I have had a lot of software implementation experience and IT experience, so I hope you are able today to make your choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie Thomas. That concludes today's debate. Please join me in thanking our candidates. And thank you all for being here and for taking part in this important conversation. We encourage you to stay active in the community and participate in the upcoming election. You're welcome and encouraged to stay and continue enjoying some of the light refreshments this afternoon.
Now we can have fun.
We also want to take the opportunity to welcome you back here tomorrow for the Osage News Editorial Board's Principal Chief and Assistant Chief debates. Same time, same place. Thanks again for being here and have a great and safe evening.
Made me feel love like the old days, yeah. But I can't blame you, baby, it's me that's done wrong. 'Cause I broke beside you, It's all on one, and I'll sign the paper. You can get me later. I'll take the punches. Not just this once, I'll get dinners and lunches. 'Cause you gave me the chance. But you've been distant, it makes sense. You need space, I'll give it. I know that job, it got you stressed. If you want it, I'll listen. But now I'm stuck with the check, and for months that I regret. A first class seat, a diamond ring, I'm drowning in your debt. I'm fucked up, I'm depressed. Pay no mind to the money spent. Well, she don't mean a single thing she says, and it's all at my expense. Offer excuses, convince myself that you're only human. You don't have to call me back, it's getting clear. As time goes on, it's all smoke and mirrors. Why did you give me the chance? You were distant, it makes sense. I should have seen it coming. It was me that had you stressed. You always planned on running. Now